folks. Richard Moore, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. And it is a beautiful Sunday afternoon in North Mississippi. I'm in Okolona right now, and I'll give you a little tour. And possibly let you witness some community stalking. I don't know how they feel about being recorded, so we'll find out here shortly. But you can rest assured that they have an absolute strong presence as it comes to organized, perverted community policing, also known as gang stalking program, in Rose Hill. That's the former name of Okolona, Rose Hill. And for several years, I've been working on a project entitled The Killing Fields of Rose Hill. And during that time, I've been met with an unbelievable amount of course, stalking and organized harassment and crimes ran by law enforcement. Moreover, some of the main perpetrators, constable, the police department, the Okolona Volunteer Fire Department, that constable is Jay Randall. I was notified by the Department of Justice that they had a hit on an NCIC and wanted to know what Jay Randall, the constable, was doing, running my name and so forth. Folks, I don't live in Chickasaw County. Don't live anywhere near Chickasaw County. And at that particular time, hadn't been anywhere around Chickasaw County. Furthermore, there was no explainable reason as why Jay Randall was doing an extensive NCIC background check on me. He was contacted by an employee of the Department of Justice twice. Message left, the phone call was never returned. That's their inquiry. Formal, informal inquiry. We don't know which it was, but of course he didn't want to talk. These people feel like they're above the law, that they are the law. And if you have the wrong name, you're talking about the wrong thing, that implicates the power brokers in North Mississippi and in Chickasaw County, the corrupt law enforcement, judges, attorneys, as well as private citizens, and their involvement in the absolute and abject obstruction of justice and violations of citizens' civil and constitutional rights. This is being done systematically, ladies and gentlemen. This is not something that is just a rare occasion or one bad apple. This is a highly organized program that in most aspects is kept hush-hush, a secret. I challenge you and submit to you, if it is such a legal program and what you're doing is perfectly okay, why is it such a secret? Two, one of the main goals of this program is to discredit the very person, the victim, that's being victimized. They've got to, at first, destroy their reputation with smear tactics, setups, false arrests, false convictions. implicate that they're somehow involved in some type of criminal activity. This is exactly what they do. First element is destroy the victim's credibility. Now, if you look here behind me, this is a Confederate memorial. This is a square, and that is this is the centerpiece of Okolona, Mississippi. And if we go just a little over there, you'll see the Okolona Volunteer Fire Department, which is in fact active, not putting fires out, folks, but creating them. And I'm not talking about literal fires. I'm talking about creating crimes and systematically planning the demise of individuals that they've decided are undesirables or are no longer wanted in the community, or they perhaps have done something to irritate one of the power brokers. Which brings me to this story. Fred and Childa Stevens. A little over 3 years ago, the news reported that Childa Stevens, this is a senior citizen couple that lives just a couple of miles from here, was murdered by her husband, Fred Stevens, and at that time was hospitalized due to self-inflicted knife wounds to the abdomen. A few months later, Fred Stevens died as a result of those wounds. This is what's been reported. I can't know that, and no one can know that, but those that were involved can know really what caused the so-called self-inflicted knife wounds. Now, he's former military, a very intelligent individual. I knew him, and we'd have lengthy conversations about things that he would talk about, but it was a strong common thread that ran through my situation as it pertains to crimes committed against me, and his situation as it pertains to crimes committed against him. We're going to talk about those common threads. Knowing what I know about Fred Stevens, now there's a lot of gossip, and you know, this is the poster child, Okolona, for the Peyton place. You can believe that. There's plenty of gossip about the Stevens family and about what we didn't know went on behind, so forth and so on. You see, all that is their narrative to dismiss and explain away unapparent, very unfortunate situation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's more than just an unfortunate situation. It's way more than an unfortunate situation. Let me show you the Justice Court building there. Well, you can see that. Pan to the top. Yeah, I think, there we go. All right, now, this is where, that's a Kangaroo Court, by the way. And so we get all of these smear tactics that are subtly inserted into authority. As I mentioned many times, less than 2 weeks from the time Childa Stevens was brutally murdered in her own home, blamed on her husband. Folks, I'm not buying that story, for good reason. Less than 2 weeks prior to that, I was in the Stevens home. This was an impromptu, unannounced visit because I had misplaced the telephone number of Fred, and I had his personal cell phone number. Never met Childa. until that night. I called the guy's last name's Quintero or something, that with an Okolona tire and oil change place here, where Fred works, and assisted him in his business. The Quintero guy didn't have the business or the etiquette to handle people. As a matter of fact, he was very arrogant and belligerent, and it wasn't good for business. So Fred, having extensive business experience, we got involved in that situation. Now, to the degree of that involvement, I'm not aware of that, but I do know that he was more of a people person, and he knew how to deal with the public. And the other guy, if anybody has ever dealt with him, know what I'm talking about. Just bad news all the way around. When I got to their house and I heard the things that Childa was telling me that was happening to them, I was absolutely dumbfounded. She was absolutely, in minute detail, telling my story, but yet it was happening to them. And another startling fact about this is we had too many common threads in this situation. Too many dirty players, dirty actors, bad actors in this situation. The backstory is I sued Chickasaw County Sheriff's Department, then Sheriff Jimmy Simmons, Brian Huffman, Christopher Epps, and several others in federal court. Michael Fowler was caught breaking into my house and rifled through all of my material and etc. pertaining to the upcoming trial. It was a jury trial. I had no training as an attorney, but I did get him to court. I did put the court on notice that I was being harassed during this time by Chickasaw County Sheriff's Department. It was dismissed, or the attorneys for them, Mitchell, Metnut, and Sams, which now represents in a brand new federal litigation that I have against the sheriff of Lee County. I tell you, it's hard to get out of the bubble, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Fowler, coroner then, and Ace Boom Coon when it comes to organized criminal stalking and systematic crimes against humanity. These are people that are deprived of due process, deprived of their civil and constitutional rights on purpose, deliberately, to cause self-implosion. The program is designed to annihilate the target. That's Latin, which means to reduce something to nothing. That is the whole intent, the whole ideal of community policing and organized stalking, which is not, ladies and gentlemen, a legal program. It is community watch on satanic steroids, corrupt steroids, and I intend to continue to expose it. Well, it just so happens that Michael Fowler was the one that pronounced Childa Stevens dead at the scene, and an autopsy, to my knowledge, was not conducted. The only autopsy that was conducted in this scenario was that of Fred Stevens, and the only reason that was done is because he died in the Chickasaw County Jail. I've since been made aware of the question by a family member, why wouldn't Fred talk? Didn't know he wasn't talking. Well, there's a good explanation of why he didn't talk. There's a very good explanation at what happened to him and what they were doing to him to force this scenario that is the narrative that's been told, is how this came down, as opposed to what really happened, are two different things, ladies and gentlemen. There is a multitude of sins and a multitude of crimes, and a lot of names on that list, including prominent attorneys, judges, and of course law enforcement. I've since been made aware on more than one occasion that law enforcement, as well as the district attorney, were aware that I was in the residence of Fred and Tilda Stevens prior to this horrific crime. Like I say, less than 2 weeks, I believe, is the timeline. It wouldn't be hard to know that for two reasons. One, when you're followed and under 24-hour surveillance, they know where you are. Two, Fred Stevens picked up his iPhone, held it up, and he made a statement. And this is Richard, or this is Richard Moore, one of the two, and he took my picture or video, one of the two. I didn't mind, nor did I consider it strange, or did I question it past what he did. You see, as a targeted individual, you no longer have a textbook guideline to go by as what it could be and can't be considered normal. This is the whole idea of the program. First thing they do is they dismantle the target with smear tactics, rumors, false arrest. They destroy and assassinate their character. They talk to family members and start a new lie and narrative, and encourage, and more times than not, recruit their own family members to participate. And many times, I believe that they're not fully aware of what's really going on, because the man with the badge is we're looking out after them. They're giving them whatever lie that fits the deal, and then when their demise, which is imminent, folks, it's not maybe, if, it's imminent, then it's speedily dismissed. Well, you know, like I said, we said it was into some things, and you know, it happened the way it happened, which is a lie, absolute lie. The players in the deaths of Tilda and Fred Stevens implicate Michael Fowler, Sheriff Jim Myers. Oh, I believe Kenny Burns knows something about this too. Definitely Eddie Roberts. Definitely Judy Posey, which is a Justice Court judge. We hadn't even touched the surface. We hadn't even scratched the surface of the people that are neck deep in malicious, criminal culpability in the crimes committed against Fred and Tilda Stevens. That's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. We want answers. I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep demanding answers and justice. I attended Tilda's wake, and I intend to hold to the promise I made her while she was alive, and while looking down in her casket. I said, I will never, ever let them forget. I will never, ever let them forget what they did. She begged me, as I was leaving, please get us an interview with the FBI. If something's not done soon, they're going to end up killing him. And she was pointing at Fred. Little did she know how prophetic her statement was at that very moment. I made those attempts prior to their deaths and after. I now know that the district attorney and members of law enforcement are well aware that I was there, and they're fully aware that I have tried relentlessly for them to simply take my statement. Why haven't they? I'll tell you why. Because that would be a public record. Then they'd be accountable for having to interview these people. Will they perjure themselves? Because lying to a federal agent is a felony. Let me tell you, folks, that's why they hadn't talked to me. That's why they want you to not get the rest of the story. Rose Hill, Peyton Place, Okolona. Let me tell you, folks, we're 200 years regressed in this town that I'm standing in. A town that's predominantly African American, but you can best believe it's ran and controlled by white people that are full of hate, attending fake churches, serving a fake God. That's what we're dealing with. I think it's high time that real patriots, real Christians, and true Americans, especially in North Mississippi, pay attention to what I'm saying. We need justice, and I will not stop until we get the truth and justice of those responsible, those culpable criminals in the deaths of Fred and Childa Stevens. Richard Moore, United States Anti-Gang Stalking Association. God bless you.